Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome once again to Tabletop RPG News Roundup, this time for March 8th, 2025, where each week I take a look back at new releases, announcements, and other news in the tabletop realm, especially indie and small press stuff, and bring you the highlights. Although, of course, we'll start with something very much non-indie. It looks like there's going to be a new Dungeons & Dragons starter set coming in sometime in September. It'll be titled Heroes of the Borderlands, and it looks like it includes a lot of material that's take off of old board game style RPG introductions, like Hero Quest, that sort of thing. And it does seem to feature Keep on the Borderlands, so we'll have to see what they do with that, as well as whether it improves the popularity of D&D 2024 at all, because, from what I understand, while not a failure, it has been kind of lackluster. Then Cubicle 7 looks to be launching a new Horus Heresy era RPG for Warhammer 40,000. It'll be launched sometime next year, so if you're a ham of Warhammer 40k, you may want to look into it. Onwards towards minor and PDF releases, we have Path to the Hobgoblin's Fortress, which looks to be a Pathfinder 2nd Edition compatible adventure, dealing with a fort garrisoned by mutinous Hobgoblin mercenaries. Or mutinous Goblin mercenaries, whatever. Then Grim Press has a number of offerings for 5th edition out. There's Unearthed Spoils, number 31, a collection of player options, as well as a second-level adventure revolving around luck. They also have 3 entries into their dungeon crawl, or their Cavern Crawl series of D&D dungeon crawls. Cavern Crawl number 72, Mutiny's End, number 73, Dead Man's Hand, and number 74, Hollow Pack. There's also a collection of pre-made NPCs, all of them rogues. It's called the Collection of Rogues, or something like that. Anyway, moving onwards, the Twilight Lantern is a 5th edition compatible adventure dealing with a village in the heart of a forest that has been plagued by a curse. The Dying Dance is a Feywild-focused campaign offering for 5th edition, designed to be put into pretty much any fantasy RPG setting, either as a side quest or a launching point for a full campaign. It includes various associated Fey material. Asgard Amusement is a 5th edition adventure kit with some streamlined adventure essentials, various characters and creature stat blocks, an encounter generator, various magic spells, items, and more. Adventure Point is a 5th edition compatible adventure, though it can be adapted to any other system, designed around exploring a new land across a sea. The Cursed Village of Eldermire is a 5th edition offering, dealing with a remote, forgotten village with ancient forces stirring beneath its rotting soil. It is a gothic horror RPG adventure. The Crawling Collective is a 5th edition compatible adventure, dealing with an insectoid society that has begun to crawl upward. Out of the ground, because they're underground. Anyway. Temple of the Undying is another 5th edition adventure, this one dealing with the remnants of a lost cult lurking under an ancient ruin. Art of the Genre has Legend of Keepers, a reverse dungeon for 5th edition, where you play various monster bosses and heroes in defense of a dungeon. If this sounds familiar, number 1, its concept's been done before, but number 2, it looks very much like the computer game of the same name. I believe it's actually associated with it, so it's like a version of that in tabletop format. Hunting the Frogman is an adventure with stats for 5th edition, DCC RPG, as well as Survive This. It takes place in that most hard of all realms, Ohio. Elven Tower has a Dungeon Vault magazine number 55, which is a collection of material as well as adventures for 5th edition, as well as Shadowdark RPG. Guilds of Shadow and Gold is a collection of Thieves Guilds for 5th edition, including 7 in-depth guilds, along with backgrounds, toolkits for rogues and materials, as well as adventure seeds. Goodman Games has a couple offerings. There's Dungeon Denizens, which is a collection of 500 new creatures. I think it's actually more than that, for 5th edition. They also have a version for Dungeon called Classics RPG. They also have 2-page Dungeon Delves, which is an adventure compilation of over 20 adventures that can be used for either 5th edition or DCC RPG that goes along with the Dungeon Denizens. Bria's Mythical Menagerie is a 5th edition collection of creatures and familiars of various sorts, as well as new mounts, spells, magic items, and subclass options, a new summoner class, and more. Neo Goblins is another 5th edition offering, this one offering character options, new stat blocks for powerful monsters, various magic items, spells, tips, and more, with a focus on basically designing a really powerful and lethal goblins. A Tome of Cursed Curiosities offers a collection of various cursed items for 5th edition. N Publishing has Gate Pass Gazetteer up, or Gate Pass Gazette. It looks like they have issues number 30, and oddly enough, 33 available in print on demand. I don't know if that's out of order or not. Maybe it is. They are collections of material to support their advanced 5th edition RPG. Heroic Adventure number 1, Evil Never Dies, is a DCC RPG compatible adventure dealing with a town that has languished under the rule of an evil lich. Something Happens in the City is a set of tables and charts for something from the Something Happens series for the Shadowdark RPG, this time detailing various things that can take place in a city. Blades and Banners is a supplement for Old School Essentials and similar material that focuses on feudal Japanese-based material. So there's that, like samurai, that sort of thing. Dead Sprawl is a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk setting for Old School Essentials that has various genre-compatible material revolving around a sort of corporate neo-feudalism in a wasteland future. Knight of the Rust Beast is an OSR dungeon module dealing with tracking down creatures responsible for turning a blacksmith's entire stock into rust. The Tower of Leoric the Bold is an entry into the Deep Dungeons series for OSR-style games and deals with a long-abandoned tower, and this chair needs oil. Or I need a new chair. Either way. Mythmere Games had Tome of World Building, a system genre-compatible companion tome to the Tome of Adventure design they recently redid. Monster Hunting is a collection of 7 grim dark adventures for the Dragonbane system, each one revolving around a particular monster hunt. Things like werewolves, that sort of thing. Curse of the Spurned King is an adventure suite for Dragonbane, where the characters are sent on a quest to save a country from a terrible curse. Gauntlet of Sparagos is a Savage Worlds Adventure Edition adventure set in the Scarred Lands, which was originally done, back in 3rd edition era, anyway. Is the first one to bring that setting to the Savage Worlds rules. D6 Forge, Sword and Sorcery, is an expansion for the D6 Forge RPG that offers an expanded magic system, various detailed fantasy archetypes, and more. Moss, Stone, and Steel has a core rulebook out that describes not only the new RPG system, a low-magic dark fantasy adventure RPG, but also its own unique setting, the Dark Earth. Onyx Path has The World Below, available in print on demand, and he uses the Story Path system, but deals with gritty and heroic adventures in a fantasy subterranean realm. So it's like the Story Path version of dungeon crawling. Anyway, Sword Point Diplomacy is an expansion for the Gestalt RPG that offers new classes, new lineages, new cultures, dueling and jousting rules, new feats, and other class options, etc. Fabula Ultima Atlas Natural Fantasy is an expansion for the Fabula Ultima game, inspired by classic JRPGs, and offers new classes, locations, equipment, villains, and so forth, assuming for natural fantasy. Shadowrun Missions Urgent Care is compatible with the Shadowrun 6th edition, or Shadowrun 6th World, and deals with a Shadowrunner who has been injured on the run, and you must break into the Dockwagon Hospital to get him out before Lone Star finds him. Warhammer 40,000 Wrath and Glory, The Shards of Ulkari, is an adventure for especially suited for Eldari focus groups. The Omega Horizon core rulebook details a sci-fi tabletop RPG set in a future where interstellar empires and mega corporations clash with each other. The Long Jumps is an adventure set for 2D6 based sci-fi systems such as Cepheus Engine, etc. It's actually a collection of a few different scenarios dealing with deep space exploration. And then finally, The Basilisk is an adventure for Mothership RPG dealing with an abandoned space station. With that, I'll move on to crowdfunding campaigns. Remember that contributing to a crowdfunding campaign should be done only at your own risk. Doing so is no guarantee of even receiving a product. Mentioned here is not an endorsement, but is for informational purposes only. And we'll start off with something that's not even an RPG, but inspired by one. Actually, I probably could have covered this in the CRPG News Roundup. Baldur's Gate Bardcore will be an album of various fan songs about Baldur's Gate and the characters therefrom. And it's being put together by Jonathan Young. I love his stuff, so I might check it out. Breath of Life, The Chosen, will be a 20-level divine class for Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition, as well as D&D 5th edition, based on a certain innate divine spellcaster from the 3.x days. Echoes of Heaven Reborn will be a setting and adventure for 5th edition, set in the world of darkness, where a monolithic church has split into various factions and holy war looms. Apparently, it was a classic Echoes of Heaven campaign setting, but will be updated for the 2024 rules. Erathane, whatever. The Shards of Souls looks to be a first part of a steampunk trilogy for 5th edition from, I believe, Ars Mechanica. This one being a one-shot set in the world of Erathane 30 years after their last campaign. There you go. Bastard Brigade will be a 5th edition hunt where you play various outlaws, serial killers, and time travelers looking to deal with various notables of the Victorian era. Zamanora Ballad of the Witch will be a new setting inspired by Balkan and Slavic folklore, suited for 5th edition as well as 2024, as well as the Legend in the Mist RPG. Secrets of Magic will be a 5th edition toolbox of lore and magic with various options, archetypes, spells, and so forth. Tome of Terror Volume 9 will be the latest in a series of mini-adventures as well as actual miniatures for the 5th edition, this time focusing on a set of 3 monsters out of Celtic folklore. Each one's like a tiny little adventure with a tabletop mini in STL format. So you can print it. Cathra's Codex of Hybrid Creatures will be a monster collection for 5th edition with over 100 original hybrid creatures, each with 2 creature types, combat stats, lore, art, etc. Grimoire of Ascendance will be a set of 100 plus new spells for 5th edition of various sorts. Zagalta's Exolunar Collection. Look, what did they do? Just hammer keys randomly? Anyway, Zagalta's Exolunar Collection looks to be a 5th edition compatible expansion, bringing various science, fantasy, cosmos player options, as well as campaign options, including new spells, classes, subclasses, creatures, space-based mechanics, etc. Fizzle's Fantastic Feats will be a 5th edition compatible collection of feats with the intention of having one for every backer. Tyus Cragbone's Martial Overhaul looks to be a 2024 compatible change to the power scaling of various martial-based classes, including new subclasses, weapon properties, a new martial might system, new feats, and so on. The Extended Pantheon will be a 5th edition compatible divine guide, including various mythology, mechanics, adventures with a bunch of new gods, sacred shrines, related material. Citycraft will be a 5th edition compatible resource for city building, as well as some adventures that include city encounters, NPCs, magic items, subclasses, and more. The Cult of the Winged Skull looks to be a new setting for the DCC RPG, as well as Shadowdark. It will be an adventure within the setting of Withmail. Then Thunderholm will be another fantasy setting, this time for the Shadowdark RPG, set in an archipelago at the edge of the world. Adventure Anthology for Shadowdark RPG will be exactly what it says on the tin, and looks to fund 22 scenarios for the Shadowdark RPG. Populated Hexes Monthly, issue 44, will be a continuation of the OSR zine, this time offering rules for high-level characters and advancement. Reaver Sword and Sorcery role-playing game looks to fund an RPG within a deadly ancient world setting with a gritty theme. Wrath of the Wyvern looks to fund a dark fantasy solo tabletop RPG that looks to cross something between Skyrim and The Witcher, with a focus on monster hunting but also open-world exploration. Black Jam is looking to be an OSR post-apocalyptic adventure with pre-generated characters, and will be a Hack of the Black Hack offering its own rule system. And finally, there's a Blood and Justice, Shadows of Nocturne, which will be or Blood and Justice, Shadow of Nocturne, which will be a villain's guidebook for the Prowlers and Paragons Ultimate Edition, and will detail 66 villains as well as villain teams, minion groups, some story ideas, etc. And with that, I'm going to wrap things up here. This has been the RPG Crawler, my Tabletop RPG News Roundup for March 8th, 2025. As always, links will be below, unless, of course, you're on the other site, which I'm still looking for a solution for to keep from running into character limit. You may be seeing this in my CRPG News Roundup as well. If one pops up, let me know or something, because I'm obviously clueless about that site. Even I've technically been posting at it for years, but like with years at a time, between posts. I'm trying to get better about that, hitting multiple platforms. Anyway, just let me know if you know anything, any easy way to post all the links to that site. Also, it looks like these are doing relatively well compared to my old combined CRPG News Roundup, so like where I did both in one. So yeah, there's that. I'll give it a couple more weeks, but it looks like it's actually improving the number of viewers on each individual one, which is great. Anyway, until next time, take care and goodbye. And if you are still watching, I would like to take the opportunity to thank my supporters, the top tiers of which are listed on the screen, without whose support I would not have been able to offer the variety of content that I have on this channel throughout the years. If you're feeling particularly generous and would like to join them, you can support the channel. There are a variety of options to do so. I have a Patreon, a Subscribestar, as well as channel memberships enabled. If you are not in a position to contribute, simply leaving a like, a comment, or sharing my videos are all wonderful ways to help the channel grow without spending a dime, and are all greatly appreciated.